I remember claiming Dipset. I had some business on my line, I told them this if get they lips. Get your lips wet. Lock that door, where them bows at? Search for his gun, where his pole at? We on his ass, where his shows at? He get away, we on his ass, where he parole at? I be
North Charleston, South Carolina, July 28, 2023. Just after 2:15 in the morning, the quiet of Dorchester Road was broken by the sound of gunfire outside a local lounge called the Bloom Room. Within minutes, police dispatchers sent units racing to the scene. Paramedics fought desperately to save a woman who had been struck by bullets in the parking lot. Less than half an hour later, at 2:57 a.m., that woman was pronounced dead at the hospital. Her name was Maya Jennifer Simmons. She was only 30 years old. She was a mother to 8 children, and in the days that followed, the city of North Charleston would be shaken, not just by her death, but by the questions surrounding why it happened, who pulled the trigger, and what justice would ultimately look like. Hours before her life was cut short, Maya had posted a message on Snapchat. In it, she reflected on how short life is and how important it is to cherish every single moment and make memories with the people we love. By dawn, she was gone. For her family, that post has become both a haunting reminder of her final hours and a call to remember the vibrant, resilient woman she truly was. Maya Jennifer Simmons was more than a statistic in a violent crime report. She was a daughter, a granddaughter, a businesswoman, and above all, a mother. Those who knew her describe a woman of strength, someone who carried the weight of her family on her shoulders and still found ways to create joy for others. She was 30 years old, raising 8 children while building her own businesses. She launched a home baking venture called Treats by Maya and also ran a photo booth rental service for parties and events. These weren't hobbies. They were signs of her determination to succeed, to provide, and to create something lasting for her children's future. Family members say she poured herself into motherhood, and everything she did was with her kids in mind. She was described as a woman who never backed down from challenges. Life had not been easy, but she refused to let setbacks define her. Instead, she leaned into resilience, into hustle, and into love. On social media, she shared both her work and her joy, presenting herself as someone who wanted to lift others up, someone who reminded her friends to smile, to keep going, and to remember what matters most. Her grandmother later told reporters that Maya was full of life, determined, and always putting her children first. For those children, the sudden absence of their mother would leave a void impossible to fill. To understand the gravity of what happened on the night of July 28th, we must walk through the events as police documented them. It was a Friday night at the Bloom Room, a lounge located on Dorchester Road in North Charleston. The Bloom Room was a place where people came to relax, drink, dance, and let off steam. But in the early morning hours, it became the backdrop for tragedy. At approximately 2:15 a.m., gunshots rang out in the parking lot. People scrambled, some ducking for cover, others fleeing the scene. Police were dispatched immediately. When they arrived, they found Maya suffering from gunshot wounds. Emergency medical responders tried to stabilize her and rushed her to the hospital. But despite their efforts, at 2:57 a.m., she was pronounced dead. The North Charleston Police Department immediately launched a homicide investigation. Detectives interviewed witnesses, gathered surveillance footage from the lounge and surrounding businesses, and collected shell casings from the scene. Very quickly, their focus narrowed to a suspect, 39-year-old Keisha DeAndre Simmons Birch. In the days following Maya's death, the community grieved openly. Family members held vigils, friends shared memories on social media, balloons were released in her honor, candlelight services were organized, and in every statement, the pain of losing Maya was clear. She wasn't just taken from her family, she was stolen from her children, from the life she had been working so hard to build. Meanwhile, police were preparing their case. For nearly 2 weeks after the shooting, Keisha Deandra Simmons Birch remained out of custody. Then, on August 11, 2023, she turned herself in to authorities. Court filings confirm that Birch was booked into the Charleston County Jail and formally charged with manslaughter, as well as possession of a weapon during a violent crime. The arrest did not end the questions. It only opened a new chapter in the fight for justice. At the bond hearing, the courtroom became the stage for two competing narratives. On one side was the prosecution and Maya's grieving family, who insisted that Maya had been murdered without justification. On the other side was Birch's defense, which argued that she had acted in self-defense. Her attorney raised the possibility of South Carolina's Stand Your Ground law, a controversial statute that allows individuals to use deadly force if they reasonably believe their life is in imminent danger and retreat is not an option. According to Birch's attorney, Maya's death was not a cold-blooded killing, but a desperate act of protection. The attorney emphasized that Birch had feared for her life in that parking lot and had responded in what she believed was the only way she could. But Maya's family rejected that claim outright. They insisted that Maya was the true victim, that there was no justification for what happened, and that Birch's argument was an insult to the life Maya lived and the children she left behind. For them, the very suggestion of self-defense only deepened their grief. The judge, tasked with balancing the rights of the accused against the seriousness of the charges, granted Birch a $200,000 surety bond. But the bond came with strict conditions. Birch was placed on house arrest. She was fitted with GPS monitoring. She was prohibited from using social media. And most importantly, she was ordered to have no contact whatsoever with Maya's family. For Maya's loved ones, the bond decision was a painful reminder of how difficult the pursuit of justice can be. Their daughter, granddaughter, and mother was gone forever. Yet the woman accused of killing her would be allowed to await trial from the comfort of her home. The community of North Charleston rallied around Maya's family. Tributes poured in. Local news stations covered her story extensively. Friends and strangers alike spoke her name, determined that she would not be forgotten. At vigils, her grandmother spoke through tears about the hole Maya's death left in their lives. The balloons that floated into the sky carried with them the collective grief of a community in mourning. In the months that followed, Maya's case remained in limbo. As of the end of 2023 and even into 2025, no trial updates have been reported publicly. The legal process has moved slowly, leaving Maya's family still waiting for justice, still waiting for answers, still waiting for closure. The lack of resolution has only added to the pain. Each day that passes without a trial is another day. Her children must grow up without the comfort of knowing their mother's story has been fully heard in court. For her family, it has been a slow, agonizing journey, marked by grief, frustration, and a constant fight to keep Maya's name alive. The case also brings to light broader questions about South Carolina's Stand Your Ground law. Passed in 2006, the law allows people to use deadly force if they feel threatened, without the duty to retreat. Supporters argue it empowers citizens to defend themselves. Critics argue it is too often misused, creating loopholes for violence to be excused. In Maya's case, the law has been invoked as part of the defense's narrative, sparking debate in the community about whether it applies, and if so, how it should be interpreted. For families like Maya's, the existence of such laws can feel like a barrier to justice. They worry that what happened to Maya could be explained away under legal language, rather than confronted as the tragedy they believe it truly is. Yet through all of this, what Maya's family emphasizes most is not the legal battle, but the woman she was. They want the world to remember her, not just as a victim, but as a mother, a daughter, an entrepreneur, and a light in her community. They want people to know about Treats by Maya, about the photo booth business she built, about the laughter she shared with her friends, and the love she poured into her children's lives. When communities remember the victims of crime, they honor more than just the facts of a case. They honor the humanity that was lost. In Maya's case, that humanity shines through every memory, every tribute, every tear shed at her vigils. Her grandmother's words remain among the most powerful reminders. Maya was full of life. She was determined, and she always put her children first. The murder of Maya Jennifer Simmons is a tragedy that speaks to more than just one family's loss. It reflects the pain of communities struggling with violence, the complexity of legal systems that can prolong closure, and the resilience of families determined to seek justice no matter how long it takes. As of today, Maya's case has yet to see a full resolution in court, but her story lives on. It lives on in her children, who carry her spirit forward. It lives on in the businesses she built, symbols of her drive and determination. And it lives on in the community that refuses to let her name be forgotten. For viewers, the story of Maya Jennifer Simmons is both heartbreaking and urgent. It is a reminder that behind every headline, there is a person. Behind every statistic, there is a life, a family, and a legacy. Maya's story compels us to ask not only what happened on July 28, 2023, but also what we must do to ensure that justice is served and that her memory is preserved with dignity. If you believe Maya's life and story deserve to be remembered, please take a moment to honor her by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing her story so her name continues to be spoken. For her children, for her family, and for a community still waiting for justice, your voice matters.